In the present economic system, a lot of people are actually broke or totally broke. They don't have any form of savings or any form of investment. In a real economic sense, this is absolutely not a good one. It is not a good one because you can't imagine being in an economic system that's called capitalism or a free market economic system, and you don't even have a dime in your pocket, or you don't even have a form of a savings, or you don't have any form of investment. This is the scenario, this is the situation most people actually find themselves in our present economic system, where people are completely broke or totally broke, or in a situation of having nothing in their pockets. So our present economic system, owing to inflation and high interest rates and some other factors militating against the financial breakthrough and success of people, makes it for people to be completely broke. Now, a lot of people actually believe that if they actually earn a double salary. Now, what do I actually mean by a double salary? Double salary is that you are actually working in a company and you get an increment in your salary, or you get what I call a raise in your salary. That condition or that situation makes them to be rich. So a lot of people believe that if you actually have a double pay or double up in your salary, or you get raised in your salary, it means that you are wealthy or you have financial freedom. In the real economic sense, having a raise in your salary or having an increase in your salary does not connote or dictate or means that you are actually financially free, or you have what I call a financial freedom. Welcome to another segment of intellectual brainstorming and academic excellence. Welcome to the fountain of financial analysis and the intellectual brainstorming. Welcome to my channel, The Greater Mindsets. Today I'm going to talk about a topic which is quite lingering in our economic system, which is about a situation where people are broke, because that is where we find ourselves today. That is where the country is in today. That is where most situations, economic situations all over the world are today, and that's where most people find themselves today. The truth is that the more money people actually make, the more they find themselves in a financial hole. You ask me, why do I have to say that? Because there's a word that says that more money, more problem. Because the more people actually have more money in their pocket, the more they earn more money, the more they have the propensities to actually get those things they actually need for themselves. Because man by nature is an insatiable being, that is, he always eager or have the desire to consume and have one or two things in his lifetime, or always. You understand now? So the truth is that the more money people actually make, the more they find themselves in what? In more financial hole. That is, the more responsibility they actually have. So a lot of people with decent salaries today are broke with little or no savings and investment. So what we're saying there is that even though you are earning a big salary, even though you are earning a big pay at the end of the month, there's every tendency that you can still be broke and you can still not have any form of investment or any form of saving. This is the reality, and it's actually true. So if you are not financially disciplined, you may find yourself in a situation of being broke or not having savings or investment. What am I saying here? What I'm saying here is that you need what we call financial discipline for you to be able to surpass the level of being broke or not have any savings or any investment at all. Safe to say that irrespective of what you earn in a month, there's still every tendency that you can actually be broke at the end of the day, most especially if you don't have financial discipline. So what we're saying is that if you are the type of person that you don't control the way you spend your money, you don't divide your money into savings, investment, and spending, you don't have a very workable, disciplined budget, there's every tendency that you are going to be broke. So you need financial discipline. So even when you earn decent salary, it does not mean that you are not going to be broke. But if you have financial discipline, you might avoid being broke or not having any form of savings or investment. It is actually not a right thing that when you earn your money at the end of the month, you do not have any form of savings or investment at all. Because what guarantees your wealth, what actually determines whether you're going to be wealthy, whether you're going to be rich or not, is your level of investment and your level of, of savings, which I'm going to talk about in this topic. Now, you need to define what is actually financial freedom. What do I mean by financial freedom? Financial freedom is that situation or condition where you are in that you can be able to finance whatever you like without actually touching the bottom of your pocket. That is, you have the capacity, you have the ability, you have the financial propensities, you have what it takes to actually go for one thing or the other without actually affecting negatively your finances at the end of the day. That is financial freedom. So when you have financial freedom, that means that you can actually be able to build wealth, you can actually be able to build investment, you can actually be able to save part of your hard-earned money. In society today, everybody is chasing what I call financial prosperity, but unfortunately 85 to 90% of those that are chasing financial freedom are taking the wrong direction. They are taking the wrong direction, and that is why today a lot of them are still broke, a lot of them are not financially capable, a lot of them do not have any form of savings, a lot of them do not have any form of investment. Now, for you to actually have what we call a savings or investment, I'm going to discuss some certain principles or factors which are very, very good here. So you need to have, number one, you need to have a good savings, a good savings. Then number two, you need to build on what we call a cash flow, a cash flow. If you remember when I was talking about my last topic, I discussed what I call a cash flow last time. Then number three, you need to have what we call not having what I call a consumer debt. Consumer debt. The first one is having a good savings. Second one is building a good cash flow to live on, and the third one is having no consumer debt. Now let us quickly dive into them when I explain them one after the other. To be financially free, you need what we call strategic savings. Strategic savings. For you to be financially free, don't forget, you need what we call strategic savings, where you can have what we call savings for emergency, savings for bigger purchases, and savings for investment. Now, if you actually break this into down, or you break it down, it means that you need to have what we call savings, you need to have what we call spending, and you need to have what we call investment. Savings, spending, and then investment. So I said number one, you need to have savings for emergency. Now, emergency happens in life. Emergency happens in life because life happens, and you need to be able to, you need to be able to prepare for emergencies when they happen in life. Do you get it now? Emergency happens in life where you have to spend the money for what you never expected or what you never actually planned for at the end of the day. So you need to prepare yourself for emergencies. Then you need to prepare yourself for savings for bigger purchases, because man is a rational animal and he always desires to have one thing or the other for himself. But the best way which you can be able to make those purchases is when you actually have a savings for those purchases. Then the last one is what we call savings for investment. Man must invest. For you to be wealthy, for you to be rich, for you to be affluent, for you to have to belong to the class of the upper class in the society, or to have what we call a upper stratification or social stratification in the society, you need to invest your money. So these are actually the reasons why in most cases people are actually broke and they're actually not financially capable, or they are poor, or they find themselves being impoverished because they are not actually preparing for emergencies, preparing for big purchases, and preparing for investment. What do I mean by preparing for emergency? You see, life actually happens. A lot of things can actually happen in life. For example, maybe in a company you work in, the company can become bankrupt, the company can decide to lay off their staff. Life happens, anything can happen, or maybe your car got spoiled or something like that, or you lose your job. Do you get it now? Now, as a rational person, that is financially disciplined, if you are not If you actually find yourself in an emergency situation, you should be able to survive for the next 3 months without doing anything at all. If you find yourself that you cannot survive without doing anything at all for the next 3 months, that is, you cannot feed yourself and live well within that 3 months of time, then there's a problem. So in other words, you need to prepare for emergency in life. So you need to save us enough money for emergencies in life in case anything happens. This is what can actually sustain you before you can actually get back to your feet again, because anything can actually happen. Now, you can also make big purchases in life. You might need to buy a car, you might need to do this, you might need to do that. People want to buy a car. In as a financial person that is actually disciplined, your ability to buy the car is not from your money itself, but from your level of investment. That is your decade of sacrifice, where you have actually invested your money, and now the money is actually now being able to fund your lifestyle. Once you get to that particular position, then you can say that you are financially independent. So that takes me to what I call the number two, building up what I call a cash flow, building the cash flow to live upon. You see, what can actually be built through cash flow? If you actually wanted to build your wealth, if you actually wanted to be wealthy, if you actually wanted to be affluent, if you actually wanted to be rich in society, you need to build your cash flow. Now, what do I mean by a cash flow? I explained this yesterday. Now, what do I mean by a cash flow? You see, cash flow entails using your money to buy your investment. Here, you have constant flow of what we call cash every time. You have constant flow of cash every time when you have a cash flow. So cash flow will actually fund your lifestyle. Cash flow will actually be able to provide your daily needs for you. Cash flow will actually be able to sustain you when other things are not working. For example, maybe you are not working, or your company actually folded up, or life actually happens, or emergency actually happens. So cash flow will go a long way to create wealth for you. So for the rich in the society, for those that actually have what we call financial education, that are exposed in the area of financial education, cash flow can actually sustain you and can make you to be wealthy or to be rich in their life. When you talk about cash flow, I've explained what I mean by cash flow. When you are able to use your money to actually buy investment, cash flow can actually be in form of stocks or real estate or any other form of investment. That should be able to cover your expenses over a period of time, for example, a month. So if you have an expense that can be, if you have a cash flow that can be able to cover your expenses over a period of time, where your expenses is actually being funded by your cash flow, then you can say that you are actually financially disciplined, or you are actually in the right direction when it comes to wealth creation. So you could also invest, apart from the fact that you have what we call cash flow, where you have used your money to buy investment. You could also invest in what we call equity trust funds, or ETFs. You can invest in what we call index funds. You could invest in what we call mutual funds, and it's actually what I call a decade of a sacrifice. You see, the beauty of investment is that when it starts, it's actually small, but over time the investment will begin to build up and build up and build up. And don't forget about that investment is actually a compound interest fund, where you get a compound interest of profit or returns at the end of every financial year. So cash flow can actually supplement your pay, or your primary forms of income. Now, when you can actually quit your job. Somebody was asking me the other time that quit your job, or stop your work, or not stop even working again after a period of time with your cash flow. Of course, it's very possible. And when does that happen? When your cash flow exceeds your income from your job, then we can say that you can actually quit your job, or you can leave your job, which is possible. I could remember some time ago when I started this, my investment about 18 months ago or thereabout. My first pay that was actually paid at that time, when I made the first payment that month, I started with 200 naira, or I think 252 naira, that I was paid for one day. And the second day I got 252. The third day I got 270 something. But today, now, after about 18 months, I can boast of 300 and something thousand naira profits for my portfolio investment. So that's how cash flow actually works. That is how investment actually works. It starts small, and over time it starts building up. The more you put more money, the more you get more money. And I can bet you that if you can actually be able to sustain your decade of sacrifice for at least a minimum of 10 years, you will discover that the money that you are going to you are actually using to to fund your lifestyle will have been made readily available by your level of your portfolio investment. At this point in time, your portfolio investment is actually funding your lifestyle. That's what we're talking about, funding your lifestyle. So at this point, your cash flow or your investment portfolio or your investment is funding your lifestyle. And at that point in time, you can actually quit your job or you can stop working. So most of us are actually investing our money now in mutual funds or real estate or stocks or equity or index funds or rental estate or stocks or the rest of them. We actually have a target that after some period of time, we can actually retire comfortably and enjoy our money, where your money can now be able to fund your lifestyle, and your money can actually be able to sustain you even when you're not doing your primary job any longer. So your investment, your cash flow can actually be able to sustain you even when you're not working any longer. And that is what investment aspires to achieve. So when you see somebody investing in cash flow, investment, and the rest of them, they are actually looking for a way to exceed, where their cash flow will exceed their job. And at that time, their cash flow is actually funding their lifestyle and funding their life one way or the other. Do you understand now? So now let us go to the third one, not having a consumer, any form of consumer debt, which is the third one. Not having any form of consumer debt. Now, what are consumer debts? In this one, I'm talking about credit cards, I'm talking about loans, I'm talking about easy buy, I'm talking about buy now, pay later, I'm talking about vacation debt, I'm talking about car debt, I'm talking about health debt, I'm talking about insurance debt, and the rest of them. These are all consumer debts. Now, as an individual, as a person, as an investor, your primary purpose of actually investing your money is to avoid any form of debt. So as a rational being, as an investor, you should be able to avoid any form of debt, because debt will actually bring you down. Debt will actually you actually pay more money when you're actually indebted. When you take credit card loan, when you collect a loan, when you use your easy buy, when you use what we call buy now and pay later, you are actually paying a lot of money in this regard. But the best way you can actually avoid this is actually avoiding any form of credit cards or loan or easy buy or buy now or pay later or vacation debt or car debt, and any form of debt that can actually reduce your potential or your ability to actually invest your money. So if you actually want to avoid being indebted, if you want to avoid being broke, if you want to avoid being totally broke or completely broke, then you must avoid these forms of debt I've actually enumerated or stated now, which are: number one, credit cards; number two, loans from mortgage financial institution; number three, easy buy; number four, buy now and pay later; number five, vacation debt; number six, car debt; number seven, health debt. Any form of debt you must avoid, because debt will affect your finances. And that is why those are actually invest, those are actually put their money into cash flows and credit, and the other forms of investment. They actually avoid debt, because when you go for a debt, you pay interest and you pay for default. Do you get it now? Now, if you actually calculate the amount of money that you're using to pay debts in a year, you'll be so amazed that money is a very big amount of money, because right now banks are charging 24 point something percent or as interest for loans in the banks. Now you can imagine, if you are taking 24% as an interest for loan in the bank for first year, second year, third year, in the next 10 years, that is 240% or more than what we're talking about here. And when you calculate that 240% of the loans, the interest that has been charged on the loans I've actually collected, you will discover that money is actually money into what? Into millions of naira they are paid to credit card companies and other forms of mortgage financial institution. In other words, when you take debt, you are making other people rich and making yourself poorer. And that is why, as an investor, as someone that actually wanted to build wealth, to become rich or wealthy, you must avoid any form of debt, whether it is a credit card debt, whether it's a car loan, whether it's an easy buy, whether it's actually easy buy now and pay later. Any form of debt you must actually avoid. Do you get it now? So when you do all these things, when you add these factors into ratio, you can be able to avoid what we call a being broke, or being completely broke, or being totally broke. Do you get it now? So you must be able to save for emergency, you must be able to save for big purchases, and you also must be able to prepare for your investment. Investment creates wealth, investment creates affluence, investment actually makes you to be rich, investment will actually secure your future, because at that point in time you can now you can now buy those resources, you can now buy those cars you actually wanted, you can now go for vacation, because why? Your investment is funding your vacation and every other things that are actually needed. And at that point in time, you can now retire in a very smiling, happy way at the end of the day, without any form of stress. You don't need to call anybody, please can I borrow you, can you borrow me money? You don't need to call anybody to give you money, to borrow you money, to take care of you, because right now you're already prepared for the future. And the future is going to look very great, it's going to look very wonderful, very blissful, very happy, and the rest of them. So if you actually gain something from this video today, I will make a subscribe to my channel. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe now. If you have not, make any comment on my video, make comment now. And please don't forget to share this video to the millions of people outside there that actually need this video. I remain your humble, loyal, pragmatic, inventive, innovative David Oni. My YouTube channel is a greater mindset. Till I see you next time, thank you and God bless you. To my return subscribers, I say a very big thank you. I really love you guys and God bless you. God bless Lagos, God bless Nigeria, God bless you. Bye bye and God bless you. Bye bye.